It's always a beautiful day.
What happened to the theme song?
Yeah, we gotta get back to that.
I don't know what happened, but welcome everyone. Another edition of Coffee and Conversation. My name is Craig. I'm one of your recovery coaches here at Capital Recovery Center.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Michael, one of the Capital Recovery coaches. Glad you're here.
Hello, buenos dias. Good morning. I'm Karen, also a Capital Recovery coach.
Okay, you hear one of theirs?
Yeah. Step up our game. We let y'all know that we cover every area.
That's right. That's right.
Again, we always like to say thank everybody who tunes in live or who watch the video after we're done or who joins on Zoom, no matter who you are. This is Capital Recovery Center and we're doing Coffee and Conversation. We will be going over a worksheet provided by helpguide.org. It's called Overcoming Drug Addiction. And again, this worksheet was off the website helpguide.org. If you want to get any material from off of the website, just go over there. They have some great things and resources that you can use to help in your recovery process. And today's worksheet will be titled Overcoming Drug Addiction.
You want me to begin or who wants to start? Okay. It says, ready to deal with your drug abuse problem? This step-by-step guide can help you cope with cravings, deal with relapse, and overcome your substance use disorder. The first step to overcoming drug abuse and addiction. Developing an addiction to drugs isn't a character flaw or a sign of weakness, and it takes more than willpower to overcome the problem. Abusing illegal or certain prescription drugs can create changes in the brain, causing powerful cravings and a compulsion to use that makes sobriety seem like an impossible goal. But recovery is never out of reach, no matter how hopeless your situation seems or how many times you've tried and failed before. With the right treatment and support, change is always possible.
This is such a great, it's so much that she just read, starting from the heading, the first step to overcoming drug addiction and drug abuse and addiction. It says developing an addiction to drugs isn't a character flaw or a sign of weakness, and it takes more than willpower to overcome the problem. So this is very important because a lot of times our subconscious mind or a person who struggles with a substance use disorder would sometimes think that there is a character flaw or is a sign of weakness because they find themselves in this particular situation. However, that's not true because I know some people who have good character and got caught up in some type of substance use disorder. Also, she says that recovery is never out of reach, no matter how hopeless your situation seems or how many times you tried and failed before. Recovery is never out of reach. So when if you find yourself in a situation and you're struggling with a substance use disorder, recovery is never out of reach no matter how many times you fail. I personally have 22 years of struggling with a substance use disorder and 13 years removed from it. But I tell all my mentees or people that I talk to on a daily basis that I did not ace the test the first time I took it. That simply means I failed a whole lot of times before I was able to connect the dots, if you will.
And you oftentimes you have to want to quit. You know, a lot of times people say, you ought to quit. That's good advice and a good encouragement. But a lot of times it takes us to be ready and willing. And remember, you know, I am also dealing with recovery as well. And I tried as well. And I didn't get it right the first time because I didn't have all the coping mechanisms that I needed to cope with, period. You know, I felt like it was peer pressure, but I would like to describe that for more adult to a younger generation, but I felt that I couldn't, like I had duty bound to my peers to say,
Yeah.
oh man, you got it. I ain't had the courage, and so once you began to have the determination and have the courage, you can do anything. I just wanted to add that.
No, that's good, because one of the things you just said that's very vital, that a lot of individuals, especially our loved ones or a loved one of a person struggling with a substance use disorder, if you want it better than the person who has a substance use disorder, it's not necessarily mean that person is going to change. Like Mr. Dingle just said, you have to want it. When an individual gets to the point where he wants to change the life that he has previously been living, they won't actually need any help starting the process of going through the process of change. But it says with the right treatment and support. Notice that it's a collective effort, the right treatment and support. And some of the things we're going to talk about those different levels of treatment and different kinds of support.
All right. It says, for many people struggling with addiction, the toughest step toward recovery is the first one, recognizing that you have a problem and deciding to make a change. It's normal to feel uncertain about whether you're ready to start recovery or if you have what it takes to quit.
All right.
Oh.
Go ahead, you go.
If you're addicted to a prescription drug, you may be concerned about how you're going to find an alternate way to treat a medical condition. It's okay to feel torn. Committing to sobriety involves changing many things, including the way you deal with stress, who you allow in your life, what you do in your free time, how you think about yourself, the prescription and over-the-counter medications you take.
She said committing to sobriety involves changing many things. Many things. It's not just the substance removal from the individual that has to be changed. She listed some things right here that are very vital when you're trying to deal with or trying to maintain your sobriety. That's one of my favorite words, maintaining sobriety. And she says the way you deal with stress. Most individuals who use some type of substance use disorder use it to deal with something that they possibly may have been going through, some type of stressor. Not all the time, because sometimes you can start off by experimenting and then get trapped. Or sometimes you might be trying to deal with something that has been stressing you. The thing that I've learned from my mentor is the problem we have with drug usage and dealing with stress is because it actually works. I said, what? He said, yeah, when a person is dealing with something or stressing over something and they take the drug, for that moment, that high made them forget about the stress. When they come down off the high, the stressor still remains. But it actually worked for that moment to deal with the stress. So the things that you have to change, one of them, she says, the way you deal with stress. Learning, that speaks so loud to me. So that simply means learning new coping skills. And that's what we do here at Capital Recovery Center as recovery coaches. We try to help you develop and learn new coping skills to deal with stress. And also, she says, who you allow in your life, what you do in your free time, and how you think about yourself. That's a great one for me.
And also, a lot of times, I don't think it's in here, but dealing with stress, also we are faced with those who experience with drugs or in recovery. Prior to getting into recovery, a lot of times we have trauma in our lives, or we have witnessed some type of trauma, whereas we may not know how to deal with them. Yeah. We might not have the financial capability to seek individual counseling. And so therefore, we might use drugs as an outlet. And so we want to encourage you, if you are dealing with anything such as stress, trauma, or anything of that nature, seek help.
Seek help, professional help. for that all types of situations. If you need connection to those resources, contact us at 856-391-7449. Well, one of the things that I just read and I wanted to elaborate on again, and it was talking about committing to sobriety involved changing many things, including how you think about yourself. You need to think about yourself. Remember, you're struggling with a substance use disorder. Don't think of yourself as being a person who has some type of character flaw, or a person who just got picked out by some magical force to pick them to have the issue. How you think about yourself. You are a person who struggles. That's why I don't like to actually talk or call individuals, this person's an addict or this person's an addict. I just normally say this person is a person who struggled with a substance use disorder. Change the lingo, and then you can start to feel better about yourself. How you feel about yourself is more important and very vital compared to what other people think about you.
Oh,
what you think about yourself.
That was good, Mike. You know, breaking down stereotypes.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times stereotypes can really do more damage.
Absolutely.
To a person's self-esteem and outlook on life. I'm sorry, Karen. I didn't mean to go on.
No, and also when you think highly of yourself, you start to take care of yourself.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It changes your behavior too.
That's right.
It says, it's also normal to feel conflicted about giving up your drug of choice, even when you know it's causing problems in your life. Recovery requires time, motivation, and support, but by making a commitment to change, you can overcome your addiction and regain control of your life.
Mm-hmm. You want me to read some? I can read some. All right. The next one that says, think about change. Keep track of your drug use, including when and how much you use. This will give you a better sense of the role the addiction is playing in your life. List the pros and cons of quitting, as well as the costs and benefits of continuing your drug use. Consider the things that are important to you, such as your partner, your kids, your pets, your career, or your health. How does your drug use affect those things? Ask someone you trust about their feelings on your drug use. Ask yourself if there's anything preventing you from changing. What could help you make the change? Like the first one, where it was talking about how much time you consume in using drugs. And I know from past experience, I would share this with the audience, is that, when I was in my heavy state of addiction, I found myself early in the morning, I would smoke marijuana prior to going to work, and I didn't even have the self-awareness to say, well, won't you put some chewing gum in your mouth before you go and work around people? Won't you put on some cologne so that you don't smell like, marijuana? And even at, I come home from work and I would, indulge in marijuana, and I find myself throughout the day. But, it's very important to pay attention to how much you consuming and how much you are spending. Most people that get incarcerated, they either incarcerated for using drugs. And a lot of times, let's be honest, you're not going to get rich from it. And sometimes we become more of our own consumption. We use more of our own consumption on ourselves than what we do as far as supplying it to others. So, word to the wise, that's all. Be mindful of these things.
Think about change, he says. Keep track of your drug use, including when and how much you use. That was a good analogy. Ask someone you trust about their feelings on your drug use. Ask yourself if there's anything preventing you from changing. What could help you make the change? What could help you make the change? It's very important. We got some questions on our Facebook Live. It says, how important is it to help a person when they ask for it? Wow, that's a great question from Mr. John on one of our Facebook Lives. It says,
That's a very good question.
That's a good question. How important is it to help a person when they ask for it? That's a good question, Mr. John, and I'm glad you asked that question. So what we're going to, it's very important to help a person when they ask for it. I believe personally, from the 22 years of me struggling with addiction, that we have what I call a window of opportunity. If a person asks for help, that person reaches out for help, and it's not motivated by a spouse or loved one or counselor or whatever, and that person asks for help, I believe you should give your utmost attention to an individual who is asking for help, because they have what I call windows of opportunity. Prime example, one day, you remember, Miss Karen, when we was leaving on a Friday, and that person came to the door. They came to the door when we was ready to go to work. Was I ready to go home? Absolutely. I was ready to go home. But don't judge me. I was ready to go. But this person came to the door. I spoke with the individual, and the individual just asked me for an NA and AA meeting list. By the time the other recovery coach, Miss Karen, talked to him, the person was ready to go into treatment. What am I saying? That person was asking for help, and it was very important that we provided what that person needed at that particular time. Waiting for another day wouldn't have been suffice. So thank you for that question. And again, if you guys have any questions out there, you can just put the question in the on our Facebook Live, and we can answer your questions right now, okay? We will deviate from our script to answer any questions that you may have.
And one thing I want to add is that here at Capital Recovery Center, we have what we call immediately wraparound services. And what that means is that, like Mike was saying, if a person reaches out, we don't wait till the next day. Immediately, we link them to some type of services. So that is so key. Good question.
That's a good question. Again, if y'all have any questions, I like that. Put the questions in the comment section, and we'll deviate from what we have here, and we'll elaborate on the questions if to the best of our knowledge.
All right, I'll read the next. It says, preparing for change. 5 keys to addiction recovery. Number 1, remind yourself of the reason you want to change.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, think about your past attempts at recovery, if any, what worked, what didn't. And number 3, set specific measurable goals such as a start date or limits on your drug use. Number 4, remove reminders of your addiction from your home, workplace, and other places you frequent. And number 5, tell friends and family that you're committed to recovery and ask for their support.
Woohoo! This is some good stuff, Mr. Dingle.
Yes, sir.
It says preparing for change. These are 5 keys to addiction recovery. The first one is so important. I love it. Remind yourself of the reasons with an S you want to change. It's not one particular reason, because you can have one reason that I can always use me. I can't use anybody else. I used to want to change because my wife used to kick me out when I used to use drugs. So I used to want to change just to get back in the house. So that was one reason. But when I had multiple reasons and I was at the forefront of those reasons, then my motivation for changes became very vital. So you got to remind yourself of the reasons with an S you want to change. Mm-hmm. And also think about your past attempts at recovery, if any. What worked and what didn't. It's very important that you understand what worked and what didn't work.
And also tell your friends and family that you're committed to recovery. Now, I was talking earlier about peer, being afraid or having the courage or having the coping skills to let your friends know that say, hey, I don't indulge in that no more. I don't get high. I don't drink liquor. I don't, So what I'm saying is that a lot of times people, when their old friends or old relationships come around, sometimes we sometimes bow out and says, you give in. Don't give in. Because once you give in to the temptation, we call those triggers. Once the triggers, you got to recognize your triggers, your cravings, and your urges. once you're able to recognize when those things are taking part of what they call cues of your internal psyche, you must respond accordingly.
Yeah, it's important. You have to. What he was saying, what worked and what didn't work. I always talk about making the minor adjustments, and what I mean by that is every individual have to make some type of minor adjustments in their lives. And what I mean by that is you have to find out what worked and what didn't work. If you study and make a list of the things that worked and the things that didn't work, and then you eliminate them one by one. When you're trying to develop your sobriety or walk out your sobriety, learning what worked for you and what didn't work is very important. And please don't judge what's working for another individual and say it has to work for you. That's absolutely not true. Some things work for other individuals. My mentor had strategies that he used, and it didn't work for me. However, he told me about the individual strategies that he used, but if it didn't work for me, I could store it up for later and use it at a different time. But I had to find out what worked for Michael and what didn't work for Michael. And you have to do the exact same thing when you're trying to maintain your sobriety.
All right, let's move on. Do we have any other questions?
No.
All
Not
right.
yet, let's go.
Not yet? All right. The next topic, it says, explore your addiction treatment options. This is very
good.
important.
This
This
is
is
good.
very important, right? And so, once you're committed to recovery, it's time to explore your treatment choices. While addiction treatment can vary according to the specific drug, a successful program often includes different elements such as, number one, detoxification. Usually the first step is to purge your body of drugs and manage withdrawal symptoms. Detox.
The first step, get the drugs out the body. Don't try to make all the changes at once. The first thing we need to do is go to a detoxification center and get the drugs out the body. That's the first one.
Right. Because most places you go, you have to be clean in order for them to really start the process. All right, number two, behavioral counseling. Individual or group and or family therapy can help you identify the root causes of your drug use, repair your relationships, and learn healthier coping skills. They go that word again, coping skills. All right, and so me myself, I had to go through. Well, let me slow down a little bit. First, I went through what they call behavioral modification. You know, that worked for a little while. You know, it helped me. But then I needed some more. Me and you were talking earlier, Mike. You know, we went from one stage to the next. Then I learned some life skills. And that worked for a while. Then I had to get what we call therapeutic community or peer treatment. And so I had to incorporate that in my lifestyle. So, anything you want to add to that, Mike, before I go on?
Yeah, when he's talking about exploring your addiction treatment options, these are all options that he used. And again, we all have different options that we use. But the first one that all of us must do is the detox, getting the substance out of our systems. Most individuals that try to skip that phase really don't do too well because you got to focus on getting the substance out of the individual. I remember talking to someone this week actually, and I was talking to them in the area of sober living housing. So when I asked, but when was the last time you actually used a drug? And he said today. And I said, well, that won't work. If you still use it today and go into sober living housing, you basically will skip a step of detox of getting the substance out. It actually will be setting yourself up to fail. So you have to be mindful of your options.
Mm-hmm. All right. Medication. Those who receive an MAT, known as medication assisted treatment. Medication can be used to manage withdrawal symptoms, prevent relapse, or treat any co-occurring mental health conditions such as depression or anxiety.
That's good. That's good.
Dual diagnosis.
One
One is for substance abuse and the other is for mental health. And so we are a recovery center and we link people up to who need medication assisted treatment, whether it be methadone, Suboxone, Vivitrol, things of that nature. And so when it comes to mental health, we link them up to one of our mental health providers as well.
And this is always predicated on, we're not doctors, we predicated on your decisions and your own choices. If that's the services that you are requesting, we are able to refer to those type of services. We don't provide those services here at our agency. We are the people who will connect you to those particular services. Even spiritual backgrounds, and you need to be connected to some type of clergy services. All of that is in our guidelines to be able to provide it to you. It's all predicated on what services you think you need for yourself.
All right. Anything else? Someone?
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, sir. How you doing today? We got you live, man. We got you live. How you doing? What's your name, man?
Good morning, man.
That's your brother. What's up, man?
Yeah, work.
Oh yeah, well, you busy. All right, well, we're gonna keep on. Cause
Let's go.
that gentleman, he's working, hard working man right there.
Yeah, work. Tuned in.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah, man, work, man. I slept in, man.
That's
While I'm in between going to the next store, I said, let me log in right now while I got a chance.
oh, that's dedication, man.
Well, you looking good, man. I'm telling you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir.
That's good stuff.
All right.
So let's do tips for finding. Oh, hold on. Types of treatment. Types of drug treatment program. You have residential treatment, day treatment, which is partial hospitalization, outpatient treatment, and sober living communities, which I was just talking about. So you have all different types of treatment areas you can go to, but you just have to figure out what option is best for you at that particular stage in your life. If you're at a particular stage where you are actively using detoxification, I recommend you to take that step so you can get the drugs out the system first, and then figure out while you're in detox what treatment services you would like to go to. Or here at Capital Recovery Center, we're able to connect you to some places where they have detox and treatment, inpatient treatment, and we can connect it all in one whop. Again, it's predicated on the services that you think you need or services that we recommend that you take.
And also sober living communities. We're here at Capital Recovery Center for those who may feel that they don't want to go back to their old environment. Once they leave out of residential treatment, we are able to assist you with those type of housing situations. And there's just I'm gonna read what it says, what a sober living community are.
Okay.
Or what it is. Living in a sober house normally follow an intensive treatment program such as residential treatment. You live with other recovering addicts in a safe, supportive, and drug-free environment. Sober living facilities are useful if you have nowhere to go or you're worried about returning home too soon will lead to relapse. And sometimes we run into people that are dealing with their substance abuse issues and they are homeless. And so therefore, we don't want to set them up for failure. After they get out of residential treatment, we provide a sober living housing assistance. All right?
All right, man. So how you doing with work? How's work coming along?
It's coming out great. They keep me on a little bit of overtime. So I go 6 days a week now.
Okay.
Oh, man. Good.
Nothing else going. I gotta stay focused on that.
So did you have changing in your sleeping pattern when you start working?
Yeah. My body be tired, my mind be clear.
That's good, because when we were talking about thinking about change, and we said that committing to sobriety involved changing many things. Yeah. And when you're thinking about changing, you going from not working to working, your sleeping pattern and body and everything, you got to start to adjust and to start to change and condition yourself for you to work every day or even overtime. So that's good that you said that, because we was talking about how everything has to change.
Yes. I had to be get convicted. I had to be like, get work on my conviction before I start going to be inconvenient. So, you know what I mean? I could be convenient to everything that's going on around me. So what I did was adjust. When I adjusted my sleeping pattern, when I adjusted everything with the working, my sleeping pattern got together. Now my mind more clear. On my off days, I go to the gym. I just try to just substitute it with positive things. That's been working with me, though. Been working for me.
Absolutely.
That's good stuff, man. We want our success stories, man. You want our success stories. You want our poster kids. he ain't had no job when he signed up. He started doing a meet, got employment. Yeah, man. That's what we talking about. We like to see people who are successful at what they do, and then not only talk about it, but actually living out the success. So that's good, man.
Yes, sir.
It's all in the mindset. A person got it, but the main thing is the person got to want to do it.
Absolutely.
The person got to want to do it. It doesn't matter. He got to want. The person got to want. Y'all can give all the support and everything, which is beautiful, but the person within itself have to want to do it. Like, I'm just done. You got to hit rock bottom to feel that you're done. You got to hit rock bottom.
Absolutely.
Once you hit that rock bottom, the only thing you want to do is go up. So eventually you're going to ask yourself to bring you back up. You start being attracted with yourself. Forget other people. You start being attracted to what you got going on, being productive. You start adding more to yourself. Now you're chasing that adrenaline rush for doing something positive. Instead of chasing the adrenaline rush doing something negative, you chasing something positive. And you want to keep looking for stuff.
Yeah.
Keep looking for stuff to get me to this spot there. And that keep you on the right track.
Yeah.
I just stay focused, I stay humble. I stay focused, I stay humble.
That's right. Just like you sharing, James, how to stay clean, how to do the right thing. You know, that's what it's all about in recovery. You know, we have to give it away. You know, we give it away our sobriety freely so that we can keep our sobriety. And that is to share, you know, what does it take to get from point A to point B. And if we fall, we here to pick one another up.
That's right, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that, man.
We appreciate you, man, tuning in, man, for Coffee and Conversation.
Yes, sir.
We here at Capital Recovery Center, we do Coffee and Conversation. And like I said, if y'all are on the live video, everybody want to join, all you got to do is do like Mr. James did. Click the link, and y'all can always join us from the back end and discuss how you're doing. We are here to try to help you, and more importantly, we need to see you be successful, which encourages us in our thing that we do. So thanks for tuning in for Coffee and Conversation. Don't forget, Thursday at 1 p.m., we have All Recovery Meeting. So again, we want to thank you. My name's Michael. I'm one of your recovery coaches.
And I am Craig, also one of your recovery coaches.
And I'm Karen.
All right, and thanks for tuning in, Mr. James, man.
Thank you.
Good looking, man. Oh, Canada
Canada
Dry.
Hey, man, we proud of you, man. We gonna make sure we log you in for attending the group today, too.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right, man.
Yeah, have a good
All
day.
right, y'all. See y'all Thursday at 1 p.m.
See everybody. Take care.
All right, y'all.
Yes, sir.
Awesome.